Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. South Africa's ongoing mining industry unrest is putting the country's pension funds at risk. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer tells us more. Welcome, Martin.
Thanks, Shannon.
Now, South Africans seem to have a perception that foreign investors are the sole investors in the South African mining industry. What's dangerous about this perception?
Well, the danger is that they forget that there are local people there, and they forget that they are there. Because, if you look at the modern way of investing, it's through pension funds, through provident funds. Fund managers manage those funds, and they look to get a return bigger than you can get out of the bank, so they go into equities. They go into mining equities. And in doing so, you really involve ordinary citizens, the ordinary working person that's contributing to a provident fund, a pension fund. Their money goes into these equities, and if you knock the equities down, then you knock yourself down. And I think this is what these unions are going to have to start realizing, that they're actually shooting themselves in the foot, because their retirement nest egg is being withered away. And one shouldn't only say, oh, it's just foreigners, because that's the same with foreign investment. The bulk of foreign investment is also in that modern lingo, where it comes through as a feature of someone's fund management, and the funds being managed are often, retirement funds. They are funds that are supposed to build up to a much bigger sum than inflation when these people retire. And if they keep hurting foreigners and they keep hurting themselves, I mean, that's such a bad recipe, for an economic activity. We should be rolling out the red carpet and looking after our own investors, and, hopefully the penny will drop at some stage that South Africans need to do things for themselves and for the rest of the world. Otherwise, they won't be able to get this treasure chest, because it's fine saying, oh, we've got 2.5 trillion in the ground, and it's the biggest in the world. But you need capital to get that out, and I'm afraid we haven't got the capital. We haven't got savings here. The world's worst savers, people are in debt. And now you want to destroy your retirement nest egg as well, so that those investments can't even go into these, because they will say they're too risky. So it's a crazy scene, and it was right of Minister Shabangu to warn about that, and I think it was quickly seized upon by Anglo-American Platinum as well, saying, this is a very important issue. The state is invested in this. All the civil servants' funds, are in the PIC, the Public Investment Corporation, and that's a big investor in mining equities, so I think the truth will out, and hopefully it'll sober people up.
Definitely something to be concerned about. Now, South Africa's reputation in the platinum industry is rapidly deteriorating. What are the consequences of this deterioration?
The consequences that people look for alternatives, and this was the attention of Parliament was drawn to this by Lonman, when they're saying, look, we have our commercial spokesperson here. He can now tell you that when buyers look at South African platinum now, they're very worried, because they think, are we going to get continual supply? So shouldn't we rather get it from another country? If we can't get it from another country, shouldn't we look for alternatives? And let's face it, we've been building up this platinum market for a long time. It hasn't been easy. It goes right back to the 70s with the JCI. They worked hard on the marketing side of getting people to use platinum and platinum group metals. And if you can't supply them, then, people start taking fright. Those industries which rely on that, they panic. So they get their scientists in and say, well, look, what can we do if we can't get platinum? We don't want that question asked. And again, South Africans are their own worst enemies, because their behavior is so bad that, huge numbers of them are coming to work with pangas. That shouldn't be allowed. You either come to work with a panga because you want to hit someone else, or you're there because you're dead scared and you want to protect yourself. That shouldn't be. And I think that it's about time now that something firm was done about disarming mine workers.
Now, finally, the details of the framework of behaviour aimed at entrenching freedom of association are being discussed. Can you tell us about that?
This is, constitutional. We've got a constitution. It's no good having, the constitution and not living by it. It allows freedom of association, with union members can go to the association of their choice. It also allows freedom of disassociation. And, it also allows an individual to say, I don't want to be a member of the union. Look what you guys are doing. And those rights must be protected. Otherwise, we might as well tear this constitution up, because it's becoming a joke. Nobody is going along with the tenets of the constitution. And they should be allowed to join any labour movement of their choice. They shouldn't be forced and intimidated. And if there is that, the law must take its course. We cannot have this lawlessness in South Africa. We won't be able to do anything. Forget about, building the economy, growing the economy, helping the local communities, beneficiating. Forget all of that. What they've got to focus their mind on now is getting the violence out of the system, ensuring peace, and then stability's got to come. Everything else is pie in the sky. We might as well stop talking about it. So that has got to come first. They've got to get these people around the table to sign the accord. I mean, they had a live debate on national radio today, and you found that, again, one member was absent. Again, it's AMCU, Joseph Matunjwa. Why wasn't he there? I mean, they were looking for him. The organisers of the debate were trying to get him on the line, because, Num came in on the line. He could have come in on the line, or someone could have come in just to take part in that debate. The absenteeism doesn't impress me, because, we saw John Robbie. He compelled these two people to speak to each other, the one from the National Union, the president of the National Union of Mine Workers, and the president of the AMCU. And he asked them, can't you actually speak to each other for the first time? They agreed to. And I presume that has happened. John Robbie said he would give us feedback on it. But they've definitely met around the official table. And they have done that in the past as well. But, we can't keep having people holding out on what should be encouraged, getting together, saying these are the rules. We are allowed freedom of association. We can join your union. We can leave your union. We don't want any post. And we must also have the right not to join any union. Those must be the ground rules. And hopefully they'll enforce them soon. And I think that if people don't want to cooperate with the Constitution, I think that we've either got to rewrite the Constitution, which will be disastrous, or we've got to make sure that they do it.
And we know South Africans are good at negotiations, so I don't see why they can't negotiate.
They should, they must. That's in our DNA, to come to a conclusion. But this is taking longer than it should. And I know that there's an election on the way, and I just hope it's not because of that.
Well, thank you, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Shannon.
That's the show for today. Join us again next time for more news and insight into what's happening in the mining world.